I work the front desk at a boutique hotel in Edinburgh, Scotland. Last summer, an American couple checked in during a rainstorm. The man looked outside and said, "Wow, what terrible weather." I replied with a smile, "It's absolutely gorgeous out there." He stared at me, confused, then turned to his wife and said, "Is she blind? It's pouring." His wife whispered that I was probably being sarcastic. He shook his head firmly. "No," she said, "gorgeous." I heard her. For the next 3 days, he treated every interaction like a puzzle. When I said the restaurant was just around the corner, he asked for exact GPS coordinates. When I mentioned the castle was a wee walk, he demanded to know if I was lying about the distance. On checkout, he left a review. "Staff gives false information constantly. Cannot trust their directions." A German colleague once told me about an American tourist in Munich who asked if Germans actually drink beer for breakfast. She replied deadpan, "Yes, we start at 6. He posted on social media about Germany's shocking alcoholism epidemic. Meanwhile, my friend in Paris dealt with a woman who asked if the Eiffel Tower was the original or a replica. The staff said, "We rebuilt it last year with better Wi-Fi." She told everyone Paris was fake. Americans treat sarcasm like a landmine they never learned to detect. I'm a tour guide in Dublin, Ireland. An American woman joined our literary pub crawl, which celebrates Irish writers with drinks and storytelling. At the first pub, she ordered water. I said cheerfully, "Bold choice for a pub crawl." She looked offended. "I don't drink alcohol. Is that a problem?" I assured her it wasn't, just surprising for a pub crawl. She said, "Well, I'm here for the culture, not the drinking." I replied, "Fair enough, though Joyce did love his wine." She snapped, "Are you saying I'm not cultured because I don't drink?" The entire group went silent. I tried to explain I was joking, but she spent the rest of the tour glaring at me. She later complained to my manager that I'd attacked her lifestyle choices and created a hostile environment. My manager, Irish to his core, just sighed and said, "Americans." At a cafe in Amsterdam, I watched an American man order coffee. The barista, a young Dutch guy with perfect English, asked, "Small, medium, or American-sized?" The tourist laughed and said, "American-sized, obviously." The barista replied completely straight-faced, "So, a bucket?" The American's smile faded. "Excuse me." The barista maintained his expression. "You want the large?" The tourist said slowly, "You just insulted my country." The barista looked genuinely confused. "I offered you coffee." The American demanded an apology. The barista said, "I'm sorry our large size offends you?" This somehow made it worse. The tourist left without ordering, muttering about European anti-American prejudice. The barista turned to me and said in Dutch, "I literally just asked his size. I work at a bookstore in Stockholm, Sweden." An American tourist asked if we had English books. I gestured to 3 full shelves and said, "No, we hide them in the basement." She stared at the clearly labeled English section, then at me, then back at the shelves. "But those are English books right there." I nodded. "Exactly, in the basement." She looked at the ground floor location, visibly confused. "This isn't a basement." I agreed. Sharp observation. She paused, processing, then said carefully, "So you were joking?" I confirmed. She didn't laugh. Instead, she said, "That's not helpful. I'm a customer." She then asked if Swedes were naturally rude, or if it was just me. I told her it was absolutely just me, delivered deadpan. She asked to speak to my manager to report my attitude. When my manager arrived and I explained in Swedish, he told her in English, "This is how we communicate here." She left muttering about Scandinavian coldness. My cousin works at a chocolate shop in Bruges, Belgium. An American couple came in asking for authentic Belgian chocolate. He pointed to every item in the shop and said, All of it. The woman shook her head. No, I mean real Belgian chocolate, not tourist stuff. He replied without missing a beat, You're right, this is all imported from Wisconsin. The husband's eyes widened. I knew it. Everything's fake in Europe now. My cousin tried to explain he was joking, that they literally make the chocolate in the back room. The wife cut him off. Don't backtrack now. We appreciate your honesty. They left to find what they called a legitimate Belgian chocolatier. My cousin watched them go, then turned to his coworker and said in Flemish, They're going to end up buying Hershey's at the train station. I'm a waiter in Rome, Italy. An American family sat down and immediately complained about the heat. It was August in Rome. I said sympathetically, Yes, very unexpected for summer. The father nodded seriously. Exactly. We checked the weather and it said hot, but we didn't think it meant this hot. I replied, Perhaps we can turn down the sun for you. He perked up. Can you? Like, is there shade seating? I gestured to our completely outdoor terrace. Unfortunately, the sun is non-negotiable. He frowned. So why mention it? His wife interrupted, Honey, I think he's being sarcastic. The husband looked betrayed. Why would he do that? We're paying customers. For the rest of the meal, he treated me with suspicion. When I recommended our house wine, he asked if I was being serious or sarcastic. When I said the tiramisu was excellent, he demanded to know if that was my real opinion. I told him everything I said was genuine except when it wasn't. He told me that wasn't helpful. At a train station in Brussels, Belgium, I work the information desk. An American asked if trains were running on time. I glanced at the departure board showing multiple delays and said, Like clockwork. He smiled with relief. Oh good, we were worried. He walked away happy. 10 minutes later, he returned, furious. You said they were on time. Our train is delayed 40 minutes. I pointed out that I'd said, like clockwork, which in Belgium is ironic since trains are famously late. He shouted, That's not what clockwork means. Clockwork means precise. I agreed that's what it means in theory. He demanded compensation for my false information. My supervisor came over, heard the story, and told him in French that Belgians are sarcastic, then in English that we apologize for the cultural confusion. The American said loudly, It's not cultural, it's lying. He filed a formal complaint about me. It went nowhere, but he apparently spent his entire trip thinking Belgians were pathological liars. I manage a small museum in Copenhagen, Denmark. An American tourist asked how old our Viking exhibit was. I said, We got it last week from IKEA. She laughed, then stopped. Wait, seriously? I maintained eye contact. Yes, flat-packed Vikings. She looked uncertain. But Vikings are from Denmark, right? I confirmed. Right, so we ordered them from Sweden. She pulled out her phone to fact-check if IKEA sold Viking artifact. After a solid minute of searching, she looked up suspiciously. I can't find anything about IKEA Vikings. I told her that was probably because they sold out quickly. She squinted at me. Are you messing with me? I asked if she genuinely thought we bought museum pieces from a furniture store. She said defensively, I don't know how museums work here. Maybe Denmark has different rules. I explained gently that museums everywhere acquire artifacts through research and excavations, not retail stores. She said, Well, you shouldn't joke about that stuff. It's confusing. She then asked if Danes were always like this. I told her yes, we're issued Sarcasm licenses at birth. I work at a postal office in Lisbon, Portugal. An American woman came in wanting to mail a package to the United States. I weighed it and told her the price. She gasped. That's expensive. Can't you just give me a discount? I said with a straight face, Absolutely. Let me just override international postal rates for you. She brightened immediately. Really? Thank you so much. I stared at her. I'm joking. The price is set by the postal service. Her face fell. That's really unprofessional. You got my hopes up. I apologized and explained the rates were standard. She insisted there must be a cheaper option. I suggested she could swim to America and deliver it herself, much more affordable. She looked at me like I'd suggested something genuinely reasonable, then said, I can't swim across the ocean. I confirmed that was indeed the problem with that plan. She asked if Portuguese people were always this difficult. I told her only on Tuesdays. It was Thursday. She didn't catch that either. I'm a receptionist at a dental clinic in Vienna, Austria. An American man called asking if we accepted his insurance. I checked and said, we accept all major credit cards and tears of regret. He went silent. What does that mean? I explained we don't take American insurance but accept payment cards. He said, but you just said tears of regret. I confirmed that was a joke about dental work being unpleasant. He responded flatly, I don't think dental anxiety is funny. I'm reporting this clinic. I tried to apologize, but he'd already hung up. 20 minutes later, he called back to ask if we were still the best English-speaking dentist in the area. I confirmed we were. He booked an appointment, then added, but no more jokes about pain. That's triggering. During his visit, the dentist asked how he was feeling. He said nervously, fine, I guess. The dentist replied, good, because we're fresh out of anesthesia. The American went pale. My dentist quickly clarified he was joking. The patient said he wanted to leave and find a serious medical practice. We still got a 1-star review. Staff makes light of medical procedures. Unprofessional. My friend works at a grocery store in Krakow, Poland. An American tourist asked where to find pierogi. She pointed to the frozen section and said, aisle 5, next to the dinosaur nuggets. He walked away without questioning it. 5 minutes later, he returned looking confused. There are no dinosaur nuggets in aisle 5. She realized he'd taken her seriously. I was joking. We don't have dinosaur nuggets, just pierogi. He looked genuinely hurt. Why would you send me on a wild goose chase? I wasted 5 minutes. She apologized, explaining it was meant to be funny. He said, well, it wasn't. It was inconvenient. He then asked if this was normal Polish humor. She told him yes, Poles joke constantly. He shook his head. That explains why Poland isn't a major tourist destination. She bit her tongue and directed him to the pierogi. As he walked away, he muttered, no wonder they lost so many wars. She told me later that was the closest she'd come to throwing frozen pierogi at a customer. I work at a pharmacy in Oslo, Norway. An American man came in looking panicked, asking for medicine for his headache. I directed him to the pain relief aisle. He returned 5 minutes later, holding a box, asking if it was safe. I looked at the standard paracetamol and said, extremely dangerous. That's why we sell it openly without restrictions. He put it down immediately. I knew European regulations were different. I picked it up and explained it was regular acetaminophen, completely safe, and I was joking. He looked at me like I'd personally victimized him. Why would you joke about medicine? I have a splitting headache. I apologized and confirmed it was safe. He reluctantly bought it, but at the counter said, you know, in America, professionals don't make jokes. They just help you. I told him that in Norway we do both. He shook his head. That's the problem with Europe. Nobody takes anything seriously. Here's what I've learned working with American tourists. Sarcasm isn't just humor, it's our language. Europeans use it to bond, deflect, and navigate awkwardness. Americans use sincerity the same way. When those styles collide, Americans think we're lying, and we think they're exhausting. Neither is wrong, just incompatible. Next time, I'll share stories about Americans trying to understand European public transportation. Spoiler: They think our systems are pranks designed specifically to confuse them. One man tried to pay a bus driver with a credit card in rural Portugal and accused the driver of discrimination when he only accepted cash. Stay tuned.